Would someone please tell me what you mean by a pathway?
Let's think about it like this. The receptor on the outside of a cell, let's call it the doorbell to your house.
Okay.
Right? You press that button and it rings a bell inside. That's not the end of the thing though, right? What happens next is that somebody goes, oh, I hear the doorbell, and then goes to open the door, right? So like a number of things happen when somebody presses the doorbell. Ignore if nobody's home. So a monoclonal antibody like puts tape over the doorbell, so you can't ring the doorbell. Another inhibitor though might cut the wire to the door, the bell that rings inside the house. Another one might put headphones over the person that's going to hear the doorbell, right? And all of those are steps in the pathway. Because ultimately, the thing that happens if the pathway works is that someone comes to open the front door. But there's lots of ways that you can interrupt that from happening, right? You could put butter on the floor so they trip and fall. I mean, there's a lot of things, right? So when we talk about pathways, we're talking about this signal and these are all sort of chemical signals that pass through a cell. And at the end of that, in a cell, what's happening is you're either turning on or turning off a gene and making more or less of a protein. That's, almost all pathways, that's kind of the final result. And then those proteins do other things. And then that creates behaviors of cells. So when you block it, what you're trying to do is prevent a signal that ends, but in this scenario that I just said, when I said a lot of them don't work, if you block, if you put tape over the doorbell, then we found out that a lot of times someone just knocks on the door, right? You cut the wire to the bell and it turns out that they could see through their glass. And I don't know, my analogy is getting very muddled at this point, but I hope you see what I'm saying. These pathways, we tend to think of them as like this straight line from one thing to the next. But a lot of them have a lot of different paths that they travel down. And this is an interesting example of how understanding those interconnected pathways allows you to overcome the toxicity.